Hi everyone, my name's Pete and his name's Parsley. Today's Monday the 18th of May. It's the first day of Mental Health Awareness Week 2020 and the theme is kindness.
I wanted to start by welcoming you and to say thank you to our entire university community for the commitment, flexibility and enthusiasm you've all shown in response to COVID-19, and also for taking the time out to engage in this workshop. I really hope it proves useful, but if it doesn't, just turn it off. I'll never know. So coronavirus puts us all in an unprecedented situation, something I feel is validated most poignantly by the fact that university has let me get on the big stage. Let's hope for everyone's sake this doesn't prove to be a mistake. In any event, the Mental Health Foundation, responsible for bringing Mental Health Awareness Week to us annually, also recognised the challenges presented by COVID-19 in the context of mental health, and this informed their decision to base the week around the theme of kindness. To quote their own words, "We have chosen kindness because of its singular ability to unlock our shared humanity. Kindness strengthens relationships, develops community, and deepens solidarity. It is a cornerstone of our individual and collective mental health." Well, I can't promise to be as articulate as them in the remainder of this workshop, but I'll try to make it fun. We've all faced significant change and challenges to navigate in all areas of our lives, and I don't want to underplay or devalue your own experience of this, but there also exists a genuine and exciting opportunity for growth. Having worked in mental health and wellbeing for a long time, I've been keen to see an evolution of awareness raising into meaningful actions that deliver positive change. We all have mental health, and this links intimately with our physical health and sense of overall well-being. Lots of improvements have been noted here already, but I'm hoping today to continue to change the narrative on mental health and well-being, as it's still wrought with stigma and commonly understood as a negative or something to explore when there's a problem. If we can reframe mental health and well-being as an opportunity, not to fix something, but to help us lead happier, more fulfilling lives through deliberate practice, that'd be pretty exciting, right?
Now we can talk about kindness in a lot of different ways. Kindness to ourselves, kindness to others, kindness to the community, kindness to the environment. But today I'm going to talk to you about the 5 ways to wellbeing with a view to helping you be kinder to yourself and those around you.
Now you've likely heard of the 5 ways. It's not a new concept. The New Economics Foundation were commissioned to present their findings to the UK government's Foresight programme back in 2008. The Foresight programme sought to compile evidence from a wide range of disciplines to help inform policies to address key issues impacting on UK society over the next 10 to 20 years, and wellbeing was one of these. Well, 12 years on, from the distant days when I was young, good-looking and carefree, it's fair to say there's been limited progress made in delivering real change here. I guess mental health is now an acceptable dinner party conversation starter in some households. And whilst the NHS have developed a strategy focusing on the 5 ways, both government and major employers have struggled to embed the 5 ways successfully into strategy, into KPIs, and as something felt in our everyday lived experience. So I've put the full report in the resources section if you're interested. But in summary, they reviewed over 400 wellbeing interventions and consulted with a broad selection of specialists in fields like positive psychology, health, neuroscience, and many others. They came out with a route map of actionable behaviours to enhance wellbeing, underpinned by evidence using scientific rigour. Seen here on screen with the 5 pillars: connect, keep learning, be active, take notice, and give. More on these later. So before we get busy, I wanted to say this is a very brief overview of the 5 ways to wellbeing, and it's made for you. So feel free to engage how, where, and whenever feels right for you. It's not prescriptive. In mind of accessibility and inclusion, I'm very aware of the limitations of my understanding and capabilities in supporting everyone's needs. So suffice to say, please get in touch if we can do things differently to improve your experience. So what to expect? This workshop is roughly 25 minutes long. It's stored on SharePoint for your convenience and has some corresponding resources to support you during or after the session and give you something interactive. Having delivered a fair bit of training at Bristol, I've become rather institutionalised and find myself lost without learning objectives or key learning outcomes. That being said, we'll keep it casual, and the following areas will set the tone for the remainder of this video. The best news is that there's not a test at the end. About the author. If you've not already fallen asleep or turned me off, you'll be coming to understand that I love talking about myself. So to indulge that, we'll kick off with a section all about me. Next, we'll try and grapple with one of life's big questions. What is well-being? After this, I'll introduce the 5 ways and share some of my own examples. If you are still here at this stage, the 4th section is on doing well-being, taking theory into practice and on your terms. The penultimate section is on tips and insights, things I've learned or been taught by others. And at the end, we'll summarise. So first up, get your cringe face ready and embrace the awkward, as I struggle to sound both credible and empathic.
As much as I do just like to talk about myself, I thought it was really important to outline my professional experience in the area of health and wellbeing at the University of Bristol in mind of the current situation. So there's been an enormous rise in the availability and demand for health and wellbeing resources for student staff and the local community. And it's been noted that this is very hard to navigate, quite overwhelming and often curated by people without the best professional framework understanding. In view of this, I'm not going to be positioning myself as an expert or a guru, but I am working with a wide team of professionals from across the institution, trying to bring you some simple evidence-led guidance to support your health and wellbeing. Been with the university for the last 5 years working in this way. I have framework qualifications around health and wellbeing from providers like Mind and Happy City, enabling me to deliver this kind of content in a credible, accredited way. I've also got formal academic qualifications in physical activity and health, which is my specialist area. Although less directly important or relevant than my professional experience, I've also found that my own personal lived experience with mental ill health has been really important to me and taught me a lot, and I found that sharing it has been very, cathartic, but also quite helpful and disarming in the content that I deliver. So I've experienced ongoing recurrent bouts of major depression since my early 20s, and I guess that comes from, chronic low self-esteem as a young man. And I've navigated the services and the support packages available through the NHS, and looked at all the resources and things that there are that support health and wellbeing. I think it's just really important to understand that being knowledgeable and an expert in health and wellbeing as such doesn't mean that you aren't fallible to feeling that way yourself.
What is well-being? You're going to get a politician's answer from me here. It's a bit like describing the taste of butter. The Oxford English Dictionary has played a blinder here. A state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. This waffle is in no way helpful to us, and does nothing to help us understand how to increase it. To boost my well-being, I need to get really comfy, healthy, or happy. So I'll just crack on with that then. A slightly better way to define well-being would be a combination of feeling good and functioning well. I mean, on a personal level and a social level, and with the understanding that it's moderated by internal subjective factors, like self-esteem, and external objective ones, like housing status or geographical location. Truly finding well-being is like finding a unicorn. It's an exciting prospect, but not one to get hung up on. I was missold a baby unicorn as it happens. Turned out to be a rather underwhelming dog. So we don't get stuck in a chicken and the egg, or a unicorn or the whippet conundrum. Let's move on to how you can measure well-being. This bit is easy and delivered through self-administering the Warwick-Edinburgh Mental Wellbeing Scale. More on this shortly. And I guess how to improve it. So most important of all is going to be how to increase your sense of well-being. The remainder of this video is aimed at just that, taking something that's hard to define but easy to measure and giving you a framework for how to actually do well-being. So the 5 ways. Evidence would suggest that deliberately practicing these 5 behaviours as part of your everyday life can support you to feel good and function well, and maintain this during the challenging times we're currently presented with. The good news is that whilst mindful and respectful of everyone's unique circumstances, if you get creative, none of these 5 pillars need to have any direct cost involved and are all available to us even during coronavirus. So I appreciate that are on screen right now, but I'd like to read each of them out to you, just so you can take a moment to listen and have a think about how, where and when you enact these behaviours as part of your everyday life. Connect with the people around you, family, friends, colleagues and neighbours, at home, work, school, or in your local community. Think of these as the cornerstones of your life and invest time in developing them. Building these connections will support and enrich you every day. Keep learning. Try something new. Rediscover an old interest. Sign up for that course. Take on a different responsibility at work. Fix a bike. Learn to play an instrument or how to cook your favourite food. Set a challenge you will enjoy achieving. Learning new things will make you more confident as well as being fun. Be active. Go for a walk or a run. Step outside. Cycle. Play a game. Garden. Dance. Exercise makes you feel good. Most importantly, discover a physical activity that you enjoy and that suits your level of mobility and fitness. Take notice. Be curious. Catch sight of the beautiful. Remark on the unusual. Notice the changing seasons. Savor the moment. Whether you're walking to work or eating lunch or talking to friends, be aware of the world around you and how you are feeling. Reflecting on your experiences will help you appreciate what matters to you. Give. Do something nice for a friend or a stranger. Thank someone. Smile. Volunteer your time. Join a community group. Look out as well as in. Seeing yourself and your own happiness linked to the wider community can be incredibly rewarding and creates connections with people around you. So these might already resonate, or they may still seem quite abstract. If it's the latter, I've put together a short video sequence of my own examples from the last 6 months. Reflecting like this has actually been quite emotional. 2019 to 20, I've realised, has been the first year since 2015 I've not had a major depressive episode. So being proactive with the 5 ways has helped, but I really want to thank everyone I know who's helped me to stay well, and not just those in the video. I'm grateful for your kindness. So my Connect clip is from a holiday I was invited to in early January. I was invited by a close friend who I'm led to believe was some kind of a big deal at the university. In any case, she invited me specifically because she knows about and has supported me through several bouts of seasonal depression. She wanted me to get some sun. Connections need not be conventional. We're very different and separated by an age of nearly 30 years. And if I was honest, I did worry it might be a bit weird. But as it happens, it was the most fun I've had in ages. My learning example was my recent opportunity to become a qualified kinball coach. You'll have to look that one up. Taking part with friends who were colleagues really captured the essence of learning for me in the 5 ways, driven by fun, curiosity, without expectation or fear of failure. My active can be quite overwhelming for people. Some of the difficulties I face with low mood, self-esteem and depression are linked to the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder with which I was born. Suffice to say, I'm a keen exerciser and I like to do it lots, well and to extreme. It helps me to manage the condition and to focus and stay calm. And I guess it makes me more tolerable to be around, in small doses. Climbing is a completely new activity for me this year and something I'd never ordinarily have tried. Funnily enough, I was introduced by a friend who I reconnected with. The magic of the 5 ways. Thanks, James. Notice. My notice comes from last week on a rare example of ignoring my obsession with performance and data on my road bike. I spotted a friendly looking horse and stopped for a minute. He was really nice and much more engaging than my power meter. Give is the final sequence in this category, and it's from a charity cycle ride organised by an infamous group of Welsh international hockey players who call themselves the Wolfpack. They rode from Cardiff to Ghent for a charity that was important to them, and I was able to support with navigation, maintenance and motivation on the first day of their trip. Small giving towards larger giving.
Grumbling.
Pete, you're not very good at this, are you?
doing well-being. So now let's look at what well-being looks and feels like for you. Well-being is not prescriptive or instructive, as we've said, and my examples likely look very different from the way that you'd choose to spend your time and the things you might enjoy. And this is amazing. It's what makes well-being fun and makes us all unique. So we'll start by looking at assessing your current practice. At this point, you may wish to pause the video and open up resources 1 and 2, or you could do it at another opportunity. So using resource 1, well-being in your week, reflect back on the last 2 weeks, which I understand could be a bit monotonous and vastly out of step with what normal looks like for you, and that's fine. So begin adding some of the things that you've been doing into the left-hand column without really thinking about the 5 ways at this stage. Next, tick the box or boxes you feel it relates to in mind of the 5 ways. We can add to and revisit this at any stage, so for now it's just a brief sense check or a baseline. Measuring your well-being. Doing well-being without any sense of purpose or measurement is like going to IKEA drunk without a plan. We've all been there. You'll spend loads of time, loads of money, and get loads of things, but you won't always leave happy, and you'll be absolutely raging when you get home to find you've already got 4 versions of that candle you just bought. So at some point soon, take a bit of quiet time to yourself and go through resource number 2, the Warwick-Edinburgh Mental Wellbeing Scale. It's vital to understand when using this tool, there is no right, wrong, good or bad, and this self-assessment is not diagnostic or clinical. And to state clearly, if you feel you need support with your well-being that extends beyond the limited scope provided in this introductory workshop, please do visit the university homepage and click the Coronavirus Latest Advice banner and locate sections most relevant to you. With your new Warwick-Edinburgh baseline, you'll have something to work with. You can try new things and assess its impact. I'd look at using this kind of tool maybe once every month, and in conjunction with some conscious ongoing consideration for the 5 ways in deliberate practices with reflection. And I'd also not try and hang too much on it. Wellbeing goes up and down all of the time. Whilst the tool will be useful longer term, wellbeing should be best understood as a journey, not a destination. You can't be winning or losing. Next important step towards increasing your well-being is making it a habit and approaching daily life and your behaviours in mind of the 5 ways. We'll come to this shortly, but you've likely already twigged that you're already doing lots of really nourishing activity without intending to. High five. To start this process of habit forming or behaviour change, I'd suggest creating some prompts or nudges, either physically on your fridge or door, or digitally with a notification on your phone, or in any other way that you feel might be effective for you. Resource 3 is a PDF of the 5 ways as postcards to assist you with this. Also, if possible, allocate yourself 30 minutes each week for well-being, planning or reflection. So start small and be realistic, but most importantly, be gentle and be kind with yourself this week of all weeks. Treat well-being like a New Year's resolution and you'll be off the wagon in no time. More detail on this in a minute, but think of it in terms of doing things slightly differently, not doing more things. You know better than anyone what works for you, so trust yourself. Watch this space. I'm hoping to be able to continue to work collaboratively with colleagues from across the institution to bring you more content on the specifics of each pillar with guidance, ideas, as part of an interactive community project. We need your help with this. One of the biggest challenges in creating wellbeing support right now is that we aren't sure who's listening. Give us your honest feedback on today and join our mailing list to help inform what subsequent content could look like. Doing this would also give you 2 wellbeing credits, one for connecting and one for giving. Tips and insights. Our final section today should help pull everything together and include some kind of well-being shortcuts, as it were. Lose the guilt. Well-being has got a darker side. It's become a bit exclusive, a bit bougie, and even a bit middle class. Well-being is not about status, and it's not a competition. We all lead very busy lives in varied circumstances, and we can't all feasibly go on a well-being retreat to Bali. You don't need to find a lot of extra time or money for well-being practice. You are doing enough, and you're doing great. In some ways, learning about the 5 ways allows you to recognize this by putting everything you're already doing into a framework and showing yourself some kindness. It also shows you opportunities to make simple amendments to existing behaviours for added benefit. Do the same, but get more. Tweaking activity. So in mind of the previous point, rather than viewing the 5 ways as 5 distinct items to check off, look for overlaps. If you play your cards right, it's possible to achieve a well-being strike, reaching all the strands in one activity. So for now, quickly look back at resource 1 and look for some obvious tweaks you can make to upgrade existing behaviours to be more supportive of broader well-being. As Mr. Active and working predominantly in physical activity, I'm clearly biased here, but I'd challenge you to think of a better start point than be active to unite the 5 ways in perfect harmony. Think stepping outside with someone you know, taking it all in, trying something new and supporting them in the process. Boom, the wellbeing jackpot. Use it or lose it. This might go without saying, but it's important to understand that well-being, like physical fitness, isn't a commodity. You can't buy it, nor does it have a unit value you can budget with or put in the bank. As a fitness professional, I'd hope not to critically damage the industry by sharing the alarming secret that paying a personal trainer doesn't in itself transform your body into the physical form that you've always been striving for. It's the practice of exercise and the expert guidance. You do the hard bit. Well-being behaves like a muscle in this sense. Use it or lose it. Finding your expert. We all know someone who frustratingly seems to excel in one or more of the 5 pillars. As Mr. Active, a one-trick sweating exercise pony, I've really benefited from spending some time with those to whom take notice is a more stronger suit. I'm also able to support them to be more active, and so this process is mutually useful, and yet another example of both connect and give. Magic! Build your reservoir of well-being. Much like use it or lose it, creating an abundant supply of well-being and regularly topping up this resource in small everyday actions is so important. I guess this should replace our awful word resilience, which seems to have crept into well-being terminology. Resilience is an engineering term and relates to how much stress a piece of material can take, how much load before it snaps, bends or breaks terminally. Now this is clearly a bugbear of mine, but I think semantics are important. It's unwise to provide opportunities for students and staff to essentially increase their breaking point. Toughen up is absolutely everything that well-being is not about for me. So coming back to the reservoir analogy, life is very unpredictable and can provide some unforeseen challenges, much like the ones we find ourselves in now. And as mentioned, well-being isn't available on Amazon in shiny packages with next day delivery, and you can't buy it. It would be so convenient to say, a bike ride, that's 5 credits added. Oh no, parsley's crapped on the floor in the living room, remove 3 credits. Outstanding balance, 2 credits. But it doesn't work like this. Regularly topping up with nourishing everyday gestures is the safest way to keep the well-being bailiffs from knocking at your door. Looking after you. The oldest and most important piece of well-being guidance can be best understood from aviation guidelines. Put your own mask on before helping others. To be frank, I'm a massive hypocrite to be extolling this virtue, and I've learnt that the hard way, that this is one that you should not ignore. In practical terms, looking after your own needs looks like being assertive at times. Say no occasionally, and when these conversations are hard, frame them in a way that lets others understand the reasons and the benefits it will offer you and your enhanced ability to support others more effectively. Well-being is opportunity. My last tip takes us back to what I said at the beginning. We need to reimagine well-being as something positive, proactive, and as an opportunity to be happier and live life in full HD, instead of the place to look for treatment or remedy for something negative. The spirit with which you explore well-being really matters. If you can take forward any new learning from today on what well-being looks like, how to do it, and how to measure it, and if you can combine that with this commitment to viewing mental health and well-being as an opportunity for growth, then the 5 ways will be a gift of kindness that you can share with others. To recap, with kindness being the theme of this year's Mental Health Awareness Week, this workshop has sought to outline ways to be kind to yourself and those around you through the lens of well-being, and specifically using the 5 ways. Whilst introductory, I'd hope to have achieved 2 key things. 1. A clearer frame of reference for understanding well-being. 2. A basic understanding of the 5 ways, including how, in broad terms, to use them, and how to measure your well-being using the Warwick Edinburgh Mental Wellbeing Scale. What next? Student, staff and community well-being remains an institutional priority, especially during coronavirus. Whilst we can't be certain exactly what's in store for coming months, we need to know who's engaging with our support efforts and what they think. As such, I'd be very grateful if you could take some time to provide some feedback on this session using the link in the final slide. This form also gives you the option to join our mailing group to become part of a community and both inform and stay abreast any future content like this. Thanks! Lastly, both Parsley and myself would like to thank you a bunch for joining us today. Behind the scenes, it's been quite a lot of hard work, but in the spirit of the 5 ways, I'm able to see the clear benefits to me in learning new skills, giving back to a community I'm really proud to be a part of, and connecting through this piece. Have a fantastic week and take the 5 ways along with you and spread some kindness.